That's the beauty of this business. What you just said. It works despite itself.
Yeah,
It
it's
it grows
crazy.
despite itself. So why don't we just put in some work? You know, the magic you're looking for is in the work you're
What you're
not
not willing
willing
to
to
do.
do. Right here. That's it. That's the difference between job as an owner or prosperity and wealth. You don't have to sell your company if you do this.
Have you seen that show, Undercover Boss?
I have.
That's a great show. I love that show.
It is
It's
good.
it, it, something that I think that everybody, whoever that came up with the idea is brilliant, and it's something I think everybody should do. But if you want an eye opening, not just set up your own company for maybe have a family member, a friend, just to go through the entire service experience to just audit yourself is a good thing to do. Maybe once a year, or once a quarter, whatever. But if you want to know, especially if you've kind of elevated some operators in your business, if you want to know like what it's like to be a potential new hire in your business, if you say you're having difficulty finding people, the first thing that you should do is put yourself through the process of like trying to find a job at your own company, and uh, going through that experience, going through an interview process, going through an onboarding, going through, you know, uh, most of us have just such a terrible uh, way of going about that, and I've been guilty of that too.
Mhm.
Throw the ad out there on Indeed. Have a headhunter. Get some resumes, go through them. Like schedule some time, talk to people, just hire whoever's got a pulse. Sometimes they get there, they show up, they pass their background check. You throw them in a dirty truck, say good luck. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, you don't have a hiring problem per se of problem finding people. You have a hiring problem because your hiring process sucks.
Yep. Yep.
But
Um,
again, it just keeps going back to this leadership thing,
yeah,
right?
that's all it is, boys and girls. Let's get the businesses back up to speed. Let's put some work in. Now, there's some folks going, well, I'm working my tail off. Well, you're working on the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
That's the
Or your
problem.
or your perspective is
Yes.
wrong. The
Yes.
perspective of how the business should look is wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. And so I hear you out there. You're tired. You're wore out. You're chasing it every year. You're finally, we're getting close to summer. You're getting excited again. You just been beat to hell for the last 6 months. Yeah, it's a struggle. Everybody knows, but that's when you prepare for the next season. I'm not preparing for summer is right now. We're doing the final touches, right? But we're starting to prepare for next fall. And
Yep.
and so how do we prepare for next fall? Memberships, right? We start building our membership base even bigger and bigger and bigger because we need newer, more and more stuff to look at in the off season that's of age. So the more memberships you get, the more equipment you get on the books. And now you have better opportunities. And so what so many companies do is they waste all their money going to do maintenance agreements on equipment they sold in the last 7, 8 years that's not eligible for replacement for several more years. The majority of these maintenance agreements are on equipment that have no opportunities. Why are we sending people to do maintenance on these things every year? Especially like if you sell a new system today, why are you putting a maintenance agreement on there? All they need to do is change filters.
Unless you haven't replaced the ducting and the airflow piece, but your point is, if you're sending someone out to a home to perform a maintenance, a service, whatever reason you're sending, there should be a sales strategy behind
Yes,
that call.
that's right.
Otherwise, why are you sending them?
That's right.
It's not just like for convenience. They're not just Amazon delivery people, right? They're being sent to a home. There should be a sales strategy followed every time someone is sent to the home.
That's right.
Otherwise, don't send them.
That's right. And a trail strategy, excuse me, a sales
Say that 7
strategy.
times fast.
Yeah, no kidding. That's what happens doing this early in the morning now. Only had a half a cup of coffee. A sales strategy should include the entire plan, and the plan shouldn't be salesy. It just shouldn't. If it's salesy, I just hate that. I don't have salesmen on my payroll. Never have. by the
It
way.
should just be execution,
Yeah.
to execute.
I'm not going to send a salesperson to your house after the appointment at another time or right now. In some cases that people are able to do. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stick with what works for us, and that is having technicians that give options. And giving options are the best way to do it, in my opinion. But hey, majority of the industry doesn't think that, but I do. I think that you do what's best for the customer through options and things like that. I mean, I'm still old school when it comes to things like that, um, um, and that works really well for us. And it's way more profitable this way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Having to only send one person out,
yeah,
far more profitable.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, and not giving up big commissions, and so we can reinvest in the business and keep growing the business. And pay our techs better, right? Much better than everyone else. We're able to pay our plumbers, our techs, our electricians. Everybody gets paid way more because we have a system that's efficient and we can spread the wealth. And that's really what it's about.
Yeah. The other thing that I think of, some people are just not willing to do the work too, and that's, we haven't really touched too much on that because I think a lot of people are. I think we've hit most of the, but there are people that are just not willing to do the work because the work can be tedious and monotonous.
Maybe they
There's
don't know where to
daily
start. Maybe that's what it
That's
is.
true.
I
Yeah,
think
that's true.
I think they want to do it. They just don't know where to start because you're not getting this info from any best practice group or guru. Where do you start, right? There's a formula all of them use, and it's the same formula. And I'm sorry, that formula is archaic and no longer valid. Um, your business needs to move in a totally different direction. The best practices groups are further behind than you are in their
Yeah,
methodology. And if you're going to move fast, you got to have a fast moving way of doing things. And that's why we only offer a 90-day program, because after that you're good. But you got to know where to start. I think that's more of it than, as an industry, we're hard workers, right? We just
yeah.
are. But
I,
but we need to work on
I'll
the
tell you.
right things.
I had a GM one time, a new GM that came from outside the industry, and we placed him in Tucson. And I don't know if you spent much time in Tucson, but there's a lot of memes
Mhm.
about Tucson. I think it was Family Guy or something like that that called it the dumbest city in the world. It's pretty funny, but it is an interesting area, and we had this business in Tucson for years and could just never make any money, never make significant progress. And we turned over the leadership several times, and we just couldn't figure out the right guy to lead it to make this thing make money. And we hired this guy from the automotive industry, and he was a metrics driven guy, good communicator. And let's give this guy a shot. Kind of quirky. Let's see if he could do it. And so I'm teaching the guy the metrics. He's really picking it up. He's fast. He says, "Okay, do you have a schedule of my activities? What should they be?" So I come in every day from 7 a.m. to do this. I'm like, I don't. I just have kind of a general, like, you got to do these things. And he's like, well, can you work with me to make one? And so we work. This guy produced this magnificent list of, like, okay, on Monday I'm going to have these meetings. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to check this thing. And I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I'm like, hey, you know what? If you can do that, this guy grew this business. Made it the most profitable business in all of Gettle on a percentage basis. And this thing printed millions of dollars of profit for years as he ran it after that. And
Nice.
it was just like he came in, and every day he did the tedious, monotonous work of, I'm going to come in, I'm going to make sure that the boards are set, I'm going to make sure that everything's closed out correctly, I'm going to make sure the KPIs are adjusted, I'm going to review those, so I'm going to set my daily huddle, I'm going to make my notes, and he just went through that rigid structure every day and got everybody excited and taught everybody how to do it. And voila, all of a sudden we have a laggard business that grew into a leading business.
Awesome. I love it.
It's, you
So
know
for everybody, I know we're getting along on time here. I really appreciate y'all hanging in there this long. It really comes down to getting started and knowing where to start And if you don't know that, reach out to us and we can at least give you a starting point at some, wherever you are in your business. It doesn't take but a, 20-minute conversation, and, we can get you at least started, and we're not charging you. That's not what this is about.
This is about getting cool emails.
Yeah. But I just want to emphasize that things are changing really fast, and you need to change with it. And if you will, the prosperity, the future of your business is really good, best ever. There's a really good path going forward, but you gotta move past the old way of doing business. So
Yeah, more opportunities now than there's ever been.
yeah, it's really excellent. So all right, well, thanks everyone for hanging in there. Please like and subscribe. I know we have lots and lots of listeners that haven't subscribed. We really need those subscriptions so we can get this out to more and more people on the YouTube and all the other places.
Tell all your friends.
Yeah.
Add us on YouTube and whatever else we're on Facebook. And if you got any single ladies that want to add me on Instagram, you can do that too. But make sure you like and subscribe to this.
Well, I'm asking, you still married? No.
Just don't tell my wife.
Well, she'll never see this. We don't have to worry about that. She'll never see it. All right, everyone. Thank you very much.
See you guys.
If you enjoy watching more videos like this, click here. If you want to watch the full version of the clip you just watched, click here. And as always, thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing.